Sagittarius. Welcome to your mid-July 2023 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. Before I begin, I just wanted to say that I get asked on occasion about whether you can watch this for your rising sign. And the truth is, this is not the same thing as an astrological reading, meaning that if I'm doing a reading about, and I label the video Sun and Rising Sagittarius, that's going to be because it will affect the solar house or the natal house, first house, like if it's a Sagittarius trans or whatever, the same. It's not the same exact chart, obviously, but these are general readings. When I do astrology online, it's a general reading, all of these are general readings, but with the tarot, it's basically using the sun signs to divide the readings into different groups. And so it's really like what you resonate with, because I used to watch a bunch of tarot readings. I don't do that anymore now that I know how the sausage is made, but back in the day I did, before I started doing these readings, and even afterwards, because, it's kind of soothing, right, to watch a tarot reading. And I would listen sometimes for my rising sign. My sun is in Sag, so I'd watch for Sag, and then I'd sometimes do for Taurus, my rising sign, and I would get a sense of connection through that. And of course, for women, they say your moon sign is important too. I don't, tell people just watch, 3 videos every month. Probably would be good for my view count, but I don't specifically say it. But if you feel like a strong resonance with it, go for it. Why not? So anyway, let's see what we as Sagittarius are going to, the themes of this midpoint in July. What is it? What is it? I like it. I like it. Okay. All right. Awesome. Awesome. I am really digging this reading, Sag. At first I wasn't too sure about it, and then I kind of started liking it more and more. Okay, so the heart of the matter is the King of Swords, and that was the card, like when I got it, I was like, I don't know about this. The King of Swords is really a card about utter detachment, or kind of like being at the highest level mentally, and how that, that feeling of self-empowerment at the highest level. Because sometimes, whether it's like we're doing something like an intellectual pursuit and we want to accomplish something, but we're getting distracted, or whatever is going on, or the emotions are kind of making it hard for us to hold our concentration. The King of Swords is really about letting go of all of that. And I was thinking, well, why would we be doing that now? What's going on with Sag? And I always turn to astrology, because I'm first and foremost an astrologer. And right now for Sag, I told you I'm a sun in Sag, so this would be my solar house, is the sun in Cancer for Sag is the 8th house, and that is Scorpio's domain. So here, think about it this way. Here we have a water sign of Cancer, which is already, threatening to put out our fire. And then on top of that, we have it in the 8th house, which is another water house, which is Scorpio's domain. Very intense. And I've been walking around lately. I've been taking some long walks, and I was noticing, looking at people's faces, that I saw like a lot of kind of, it seemed like a lot of emotional heaviness. And then I remembered, oh, okay, well, we're into Cancer right now, so maybe people are in those kinds of like memories from the past coming up, and whatever we think of when we associate with Cancer, maybe family matters. And so it makes a lot of sense. But for Sag, this is really not something that is necessarily how we like to operate, because we're fire, and fire can be emotional, but it's impersonal as it is emotional, right? Okay, by the way, for some reason my camera, I have it on a tripod, and it's really like kind of it's been trying to like focus, and it's driving me crazy because it, like, I'm afraid it's going to seem so jumpy when people are watching this, and it's like I have no idea why it's doing that. No idea whatsoever. And I'm afraid I tampered with the setting, and maybe that's what did it. But anyway, so let's keep going. The past position is the Four of Swords. Have you been kind of doing a lot of reflecting, maybe kind of even resting lately, Sag? Because I know for a fact with me that this is true. Maybe not, you see that this is a great depiction of the Four of Swords because it shows a nest. And really, the four is that Cancer, the house of Cancer. That's the fourth house. So the nest, I always associate the fourth house, your personal home, with a nest, but kind of like maybe resting more than you normally have. For me, it's been kind of like sleep issues, not getting to bed early enough, and then feeling sleepy during the day, maybe taking a nap or two, and it's not ideal. Obviously we want to just sleep the night through if possible, but it is what it is, and there might be other reasons why that's happening. Oh my gosh. But anyway, so just asking, and that might be, all part of the thing that you need to do in order to keep that detachment. The utter detachment could be coming about because there's some kind of issues that are very emotional that you're keeping at bay. The higher message is the Five of Wands. This is a card of conflict, but it can be friendly competition. How I interpret this for the other two cards that were on the top level is that conflict is inevitable. And by the way, fire signs like Sag, Aries, and Leo are wands, because wands equals fire. And it's like, even if you what's the phrase, like, stay above the fray, keep above the fray, you still have to face that there can be conflict regardless, even if you kind of bow out of a situation. And for instance, if this is a workplace situation and you have felt like burnt out, and maybe the Four of Swords was you taking a leave of absence even, with the King of Swords, maybe you're trying to make sure that your emotions don't get the best of you. Some Sages, if you have your moon in a water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, or if you have, being a Sag, you may have inner planets in Scorpio, like you might have Mars in Scorpio or Mercury in Scorpio, whatever, Venus. You can find that it's very hard for you to be detached because you have that fire and you have the water. Or if you have like your sun or a personal planet in the 12th house, that can also do the trick, and you can feel that sense of maybe being easily overwhelmed. Just keep in mind that with the Five of Wands, It's not about completely eliminating everything from your life that gives you any kind of feelings of stress, because stress is something that we kind of buy into sometimes. Now, of course, there are obviously situations, maybe some of you have been in very stressful situations, but some of you may feel like if only I could just leave and not have any kind of uh, competition or anything, you would probably find as a Sagittarian that you wouldn't feel very motivated, because Sagittarius are naturally ambitious. All fire signs are naturally ambitious. And the Five of Wands can be about showing your stuff. And um, it's okay to take a breather, which the Four of Swords represents, but then you get back into that. But you could say back into the fight, but if it's a positive thing, because really the Five of Wands, if you are on a job with other people who are bringing their A game, then that just motivates you, that inspires you to do your best. That's a big difference than a toxic environment. So I just want to make that clear. And even in personal relationships, some Sages may be very, if you have started a relationship with someone and um, oh, well, this, I want to make it clear that some of you may be experiencing like a narcissistic personality, because the king, or even the queen sometimes, if it's a feminine character, can sometimes for me be a narcissist. And we even have, I should have said too, the star card is in the challenge position, and it is connected to sign of Aquarius. I always, of all the air signs, I associate the King of Swords with Aquarius. And so you might be with somebody who is, not emotionally warm to you. And the Five of Wands can be that there's just too much clashing and there's not enough harmony. Maybe that person is draining you, and that's what the Four of Swords represents. And so that person may be draining you and you don't even realize it, especially if you've been with that person for a long time. The other thing that the star card represents is this sense of hope. And when it's in the challenge position, you may be, I don't know about cynical, but you may feel like, oh, what's the use? This isn't going to happen. And you don't have that sense of the magical being possible. And the truth is that it is possible for you. You have the ability to make something happen. It's just that there may be somebody who is a naysayer. The King of Swords can be a boss, by the way. And so, in astrology, Aquarius rules the 11th house, which is hopes and wishes, and really goes along with this card of the star card. And one of the phrases is faith in unseen forces. So I think Sages, by and large, do have faith in unseen forces. But if, let's say you're with a partner who's an atheist, and nothing against atheists, but I mean, they're living in their head, and everything is, their mind is like, to them, their God. But they don't realize that sometimes you have to go on faith because you don't have anything showing up as quote unquote proof. And so what are you going to do? Are you going to just demand proof for everything that you do? Or are you going to step out in faith? So there might be some issue in your life that you need to step out on faith, and you haven't done so because you feel this sense of, maybe you feel that sense of cynicism because you're too much in your mind, or somebody that you are connected to is too much in their mind. Now, this is the reason that I started to ooh and ah. What's coming in is the Chariot card, and this is a card that is actually connected to the sign of Cancer. It's a card of success, of making something happen in spite of the duality of the situation, the horses of duality, black and white. So, this happens a lot when we think about the polar opposites. Um, Sometimes we can veer, but I mean, I'm not just saying Sages, human beings can veer between elation and dejection, like, oh, this is so amazing. Oh my God, this is never going to happen. What, was I thinking? And this is about being able to make something happen without going to either of those extremes or polarities. And so there's a term in yoga called equanimity that I would suggest is part of this, is embracing that. But then the other thing too about the Chariot card is that as a timing card, this could be that new moon in Cancer, which is happening on the 17th of um, July. Okay, so that's right smack dab in the middle of the month, which this reading is all about. For Sag, again, this is the eighth house. This is, I always say with the eighth house, if you have a new moon there, it's like the phoenix rising from the ashes. And you may have felt like you were in the ashes, that your ash was being handed to you, and now you are rising. And the phoenix is associated, oh my gosh, yeah, that's right. Well, the phoenix is associated with Scorpio. And then the outcome card is the Ace of Wands. This is when I really started cheering, because this is a card of, being enthusiastic about new beginnings. I associate this card with Aries, just because Aries is the first sign and aces are new beginnings. And you see, like, that looks like the pineal gland, and there's fire in there. You know how they say fire in the belly? Fire in the pineal gland, or the third eye, or whatever. And that can be the birth of an idea. Wands, it's a creative thing. And when we look at of course, the new moon is that new beginning. And you have to look at your natal chart in particular for more of the mundane events to see where this is going to fall. If you're watching this, I'm sure a lot of you are watching for your sun sign. So in terms of what I'm talking about astrologically, that is important. Like for me, because I have Taurus rising, it's actually falling in my third house. So it will differ depending on the sun and Sag that you are. So I'm really stoked, and I hope that you are too. So if you would like a private reading, I can look at where these things are falling in your chart. And I actually have a special reading where if you've never had your chart analyzed, I do that for an hour. And then for an hour, I look at upcoming transits for the next 12 months. That's called my deep dive reading. And that's at a special price because these are separate readings, and I just combine them so that it gives a more thorough type of approach from both angles of predictive astrology as well as interpretive. And so that's called my deep dive reading. I have a similar reading, but it's with the tarot instead. I've got standalone readings. You can find out more information at the link below. Thank you for watching, Sag. Bye.